If someone apologizes to you and you walk away feeling worse than you did before, this video is for you. Because that reaction that you're having isn't that you're being too sensitive. It's data in your nervous system collected before your conscious mind had a chance to catch up to it. A real apology will reduce the harm done. It will name exactly what happened, own it, take responsibility for it, and it will change what comes next. Apologies are actually very important because they're a signal in your brain, and your brain uses that signal to decide whether or not it's safe to lower its guard. When the signal is fake, when it's not genuine, your guard will come down anyway, and the harm that gets caused never actually gets addressed. You're left confused about why nothing ever improves, even though you keep hearing the words, sorry. So here are 3 fake apologies that sound like accountability, but really function as control and manipulation. Number 1, I'm sorry that you feel that way. Think about that sentence very carefully. Notice what's missing. There's no action in it. No, I did X, Y, Z, and I shouldn't have. The sentence is built entirely around your feelings and not their behavior. The real translation underneath these words is, your feelings are the problem. That's what's going on here, and not something that I did. And it sounds like it's an apology because it has the word sorry in it, but it's actually just a diagnosis, and you're the patient with something wrong with them. It says nothing happened that needs any fixing. It says something is wrong with you and how you reacted to really nothing on my part. And it's so disorienting because it mimics the shape of an apology, but it's not really an apology. You hear the words, I'm sorry, your body starts to relax and it expects to be repaired and fixed and resolved, and then the sentence redirects the entire problem back onto you. You came in hurt, and then you leave doubting whether or not you should have been hurt at all. And you think something's wrong with you. So what's actually being claimed is nothing happened. There was no event. There was no behavior on their end. Just your feelings, your problematic feelings floating around with no actual real cause attached to them. Number 2, I'm sorry, but you... There's no I'm sorry but you. There's no I'm sorry but. Kind of an apology is actually a setup to blame you. I'm sorry I yelled, but you wouldn't stop pushing. The moment the word but shows up in an apology, the apology is functionally over. It does not function as an apology anymore in any way. Everything that follows after that sort of a fake apology is actually the real message that they're trying to send to you. It's your fault, and I'm just being honest with you about it. Okay, in cognitive behavioral therapy, we'd call the first half of that sentence, I'm sorry, but it's a setup for cognitive dissonance. Your brain registers I'm sorry as, oh, this is going to be a resolution. And then the word but appears and it reopens the wound and reassigns it to you, the entire blame onto you. And then your brain has to hold on to these 2 contradictory signals at the same time. I was just apologized to, but yet I'm also being blamed. And that confusion is completely intentional, okay? You're trying to stay in the conversation and you're trying your hardest to reconcile and accept the blame, and you'll often end up apologizing yourself for whatever you supposedly did to provoke the behavior in the first place. Number 3, the love bomb apology. Flowers, a special gift for you, a grand gesture, a long emotional speech to you about how much you mean to them, how they've never felt this way about anyone else ever before, and how they don't know what they do without you. It feels enormous, so good in the moment, and it's exactly the point. Big emotion is standing in for accountability. Nothing is mentioned about their behavior, nothing changes, no specific harm is ever named, no plan for next time is ever offered. The size of the gesture is doing the work that an actual apology would have to do with words and follow through and commitment and accountability. The love bombing gesture is sure to expire in days and sometimes even hours. Then the same exact behavior as before returns because the behavior was never addressed and it was never the thing being addressed. You get swept up in this huge feeling of relief and gratitude. Oh, it's over. But underneath it all, the actual issue was always still sitting there untouched, waiting to happen again. A lot of survivors from narcissistic abuse or emotional abuse get stuck second-guessing killing themselves afterwards, because the gesture itself, the love bombing, feels so real and so good, but your emotions are being manipulated and used strategically against you to control the situation. There was never any sincerity, and there won't be any real follow-through or meaningful change afterwards. That's a guarantee. All three versions of fake apologies are doing the same job, but from different angles. They give you this emotional experience of being apologized to, of relief, of hope, maybe even gratitude, but without requiring any kind of a change in behavior on their part. And this gap between the feeling that you're being handed to and the function the apology actually serves is exactly what's keeping you hooked to the narcissist. You're not reacting to nothing when you feel worse afterwards. You're reacting to a pattern that your nervous system has correctly identified as being confusing and harmful, even when your conscious mind is still trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. So here's what to do instead. Ask one direct question. What will you do differently next time? Not, are you sorry? Not, do you really mean it? Those questions, ask them just to perform sincerity, nothing meaningful, because sincerity is easy to perform under pressure. What you need to do is ask for the specific behavior that they're going to change or you want them to change instead. A real apology can answer that question in one sentence, calmly, without circling back to your reaction. Okay, I'll leave the room before I raise my voice next time. That would be a real apology. I'll check with you before I make that decision for both of us in the future. That would be a real apology. It would be specific, concrete, something that you can actually observe happening or not happening next time. There's no ambiguity about whether or not it occurred. It's concrete. But on the other hand, if the answer is vague, if it sends you right back to your feelings of confusion, if the narcissist gets defensive, turns angry, or restarts the same argument that you thought you had just resolved, that's not a failed apology. That's your answer. You ask direct question and you get evasion instead of a real plan, and it tells you exactly where you stand. And it tells you faster than waiting around for weeks to see if things magically improve, because they won't. If this hit close home to you, I've linked a free narcissistic abuse reality checklist in the description below. It walks you through the patterns we just covered so that you can see them clearly on paper in your own situation, instead of just feeling them in the moment and then talking yourself out of what you noticed the next day. But here's what I really want you to sit with. Spotting a fake apology is a skill. It's one that you can build watching videos like this one. What's harder to build is the next part. Learning to love and value yourself again takes unlearning the instinct to accept whatever you're given because something feels better than nothing. The instinct isn't a flaw in you. It's something that narcissistic abuse trains into you over time, and it needs more than just a checklist to undo. That's a part that a licensed therapist trained in CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, can help you work through directly, not just naming the pattern after the fact, but rebuilding everything that got rewired underneath it in the first place. I've linked a platform in the description that I really trust, licensed therapist, CBT trained, available from your couch on your own schedule. If you're ready to stop accepting apologies that cost them nothing and give you nothing back, that link is there for you. Next, watch the video on the 3 exercises that rebuild self-trust after this kind of conditioning. Because once you can name a fake apology, the next skill is trusting yourself enough to act on what you see, instead of waiting for permission externally from somebody or anybody else to believe it. I'll see you in the next one. But for now, remember, you deserve better, so much better. One.
Till the